D'Enzo play Vox. So, and Truth loves Kestrel, so let's see how a lot of these drafts will play out to see who's going to get their comfort picks and who is not.
Yeah, and one of the big questions to me is how much are they going to lean on these comfort picks? Because we've seen some teams much more likely to lean on the comfort picks than others. When you think of like Mouse Sports, love to go with that CP Kestrel. It's a time and time again pick for them. But other teams we see much more reliant on the meta.
Yeah, and for the side of Nova especially, you know, the Batiste Kestrel has been by far their top 2 most played heroes, but they're going to be switching it up a little bit here, going for the Lyra first pick after the Grace Band comes out. Vox going to go over to Immortals. Obviously, we know Zeo is incredibly talented with the Vox pick, and they ban away the Baron.
Yeah, and I think here they probably might ban away Samuel and then get Kestrel on Truth potentially here. Because, you know, Samuel has been a hero that Tigers has played so well. Probably one of the best Samuel players in the game right now. And they also gave Zeo his Vox, something that he actually played really well in the games against Hammers, or just carried really, really hard. So I think Nova will probably either do that, or they may take away a captain they don't want to deal with. Okay, Batiste, actually. They're going to take away the Batiste, which is they're banning against themselves. And then Adagio gets picked by Immortals here. So it's a very interesting draft. They're changing things up a little bit.
Yeah, the Batiste, I don't really know if it's so much a ban against themselves when they already have the Lyra, because typically when they do play, it is in the captain role. It's not really something that they've run in the jungle. But with that Adagio coming out, now the gears have to start turning for Nova. Like, does that mean that they're going to be looking for, you know, a Grumpjaw who's been paired with the Adagio a lot? Or are they going to be going for
Kestrel Samuel?
You know, yeah, exactly.
Like a meta
There's
composition.
a lot of different things that they can look for. But I think the Kestrel Samuel is definitely going to be their best bet.
Yeah, Kestrel Samuel Lyra was that composition we saw a long time ago, being the original how to deal with a Grumpjaw composition, right? That was something that you could keep everything at arm's length, and it was kind of a safe composition. It's something we've seen a fair bit a couple of weeks ago. It's been less common, though, as of more recently. We'll see how they're going to round out, whether they do go with that Samuel.
The fact that they're putting so much thought into this leads me to believe that it may not be the Samuel. They're obviously very heavily considering something else. Otherwise, you just
maybe
grab
a weapon
that Samuel
power
immediately.
like Glaive or Idris and do a CP Kestrel potentially here. So they're going to go with the Samuel.
Okay, so they go back to the Samuel. Gave it some thought, but decided that all their other options that they thought of just didn't quite have the same impact that they feel the Samuel will.
And then here, I think Koshka would be a good pick if they want to go aggressive, or they can actually go with Celeste if Tigers wants to play a jungle Celeste here, because Adagio and Vox give so much early game pressure. Adagio definitely beats Lyra in the early game, so they can abuse that and play like Glaive, Koshka, or even Cruel to really get some good picks here. But we'll see. Ozo would work too actually in this composition, because he can kind of jump back and forth while Vox dives onto one of the heroes as Ozo jumps onto them. So let's see what Immortals will end up picking, because a lot of things work right now for them. It's just a playstyle they want to play with here.
Yeah, I feel like you really need to get someone who is melee at least, just so you can provide the gift of fire onto all of your opponents. If they were to go for something like the Celeste, then it's very difficult for this Adagio to really have much of an impact. So they are going to go with the Glaive. That is that melee. You can dive on in with the Gift of Fire, spread it onto all the opponents, and then the Agent of Wrath just gets put onto the Vox while he cleans house.
All right, so how are we feeling about these compositions then? Obviously, with the Glaive locked in here, there's potential for double weapon power coming out from Immortals, and historically speaking, that means that they want to be proactive and want to be aggressive in that early game.
Yeah, for sure. And I think they either will do a Tension Shock Glaive, but definitely double Tensionable for sure. I don't know if they go full double weapon. I don't think that would be good if they get to the late game, because it's easy to itemize against. But then again, they have to buy a Reflex block to counter the Glaive punts. So let's see how it's going to play out.
Yeah, double weapon could definitely work here, because they have to buy the Reflex block, and Kestrel is almost always 4 offensive items, 1 defensive item, and boots. And if one of those defensive items is the Reflex block and the Aegis, there's no room for armor in that build, and you can blow up the Kestrel in an instant if you have this double weapon composition.
All right, well, we'll see how the builds are going to pan out. That's definitely going to be one of the interesting talking points. Now, I want to reiterate to you guys just quite how important this game is going to be for Immortals right now. They have to get some more points on the board. They have to make it through to the finals, and I believe win the entire week here. Or, sorry, correct me if I'm wrong here, Bacon.
Yeah, they just need 4 points to be able to overtake Gangstars, who are at 13 and cannot gain anymore. And so all it is they have to make the finals, but they only have to make the finals to punch their ticket. But they can still climb even higher in the standings if they win the whole thing.
All right, well, we'll see whether they're going to be able to make that happen. It's time to get on into this semi-final. Join us on social media, #Vainglory8, to get involved in the conversation. But let's get North America underway as we jump into our first semi-final between Immortals and Nova.
Thank you very much, Munchables. It's us here on the Halcyon Fold, myself, Dalcyon, Scoundrel, to break down day 2 of the North American Vainglory8. Immortals looking to punch their ticket to the Unified Western Live Championships with an invade as well as 3 men straight on in. They're going to steal away this front trailing camp.
I think what we're looking forward to seeing here is where this glaive is going to go, because we have not seen a CP glaive in quite a while. A couple of updates ago, essentially it got nerfed. The cooldown on the afterburn was slightly increased and therefore made CP glaives, you know, ever so slightly less viable. But nonetheless, we'll have to see where T-Tigers runs with his build. Lone Delphi on the Samuel, and this is a very common composition, Dalcy. This is Super Siege composition. This is, I'm going to walk up to your turret, and every time I get the opportunity, I am going to slam down with those skill shots, the Malice and Verdict, the Glimmer shots, and take away your turret as quickly as possible. This is the kind of composition that can walk into lane and take a turret at sort of 4 minutes, 5 minutes in the game.
Yeah, the Lyra just provides healing so that the team can take some harass. And then, of course, Truth on this Kestrel and Lone Delphi on his Samuel, able to just do work. Yesterday, there was a lot of focus, I think, onto Nova as they were able to take down Rogue. So much focus onto Truth as well, who just put his team on his back in so many clutch areas. On a overpowered Kestrel, you have to think that he's going to be a little bit vulnerable to this glaive. And I will be interested to see if glaive does go down a typical CP glaive, or if we actually get a double weapon power from Immortals.
Yeah, double weapon power could definitely be on the cards. T-Tigers, if he was going to CP, probably would have invested double weapon blade.
Oh no, Truth is just caught straight on out, and that's going to be first blood going over to T-Tigers here. Finds his way down the lane, pops the boots, and it's easy as that.
Absolutely, and it's the double weapon blade coming out, like he said. Scum may be working towards a double weapon power build here. We can't count out the potential of a CP Vox, although I heavily doubt that's going to be the case. I think we will literally just see a double weapon power build coming out from Immortals. Again, this is something that you can do. We've seen it with the Cruels. Why not with Glaive? Go down the tension bow, potentially pick up a bone saw on him later into the game. DNTO just going to stick to the classic weapon power Vox build on update 2.6, which is that poison shiv, breaking point, and tension bow build that we've seen so much success with. And double tension bow will be a big spike for this team as well. We haven't really talked about this, Dalcy. Truth on his Kestrel, something that he's quite well known for, and as he gets more weapon power, he'll become less and less vulnerable to that weapon power glaive.
Yeah, no, this is definitely something to consider as we get into this one. Immortals with that first blood is so important for their survival here. They need a series win here. If they are able to take the win in this series over Nova, then not only do they punch their ticket to the Unified Western Live Championship, but for all you Gangstars fans at home, unfortunately, you have just lost yours. So it's very much everyone watching to see the result of this, to see exactly where it goes. And it looks like Nova perhaps starting up this siege machine they have. If Lone Delphi sticks around, Truth very low on energy, and that could be an issue if they did actually want to push a turret.
Yeah, because of that early pressure from the glaive in lane, it does mean that Nova have not had the opportunity to rotate up to lane and push it as a unit as much as they maybe would have liked. Truth obviously getting forced back quite early on here. Picked up the heavy steel, so just using those glimmer shots to hit as hard as he can. Immortals, yeah, Immortals just going to rotate down as a unit here.
Yeah, both Starboy and Lone Delphi there to secure that Elder Treant, the center one, and T-Tigers just takes it away. This guy's a boss in the jungle. He's saying, Lone Delphi, you watch out, my son. Truth now has to be a little bit careful. He should be able to get to the turret, survive here. Nova are just trying their best to find some early aggression. They have a lot of power, I feel, Scoundrel, with this glaive in the early game.
Yeah, it's this part of the game that the Nova composition needs to kind of watch out. I mean, they do have a slightly good early game with that Samuel. He's got a pretty good sort of early jungle, especially from level 2 onwards, but hasn't really been seeking fights because T-Tigers has been very lane-focused in his pressure. And that may come back to bite Immortals. Generally, when you're lane-focused, you need to be consistently looking to gank, to consistently then push lane and trying to get something off the back of that. When you gank lane over and over again, it's not just to get kills for your laner, but it's also to generate lane pressure and push on to a turret. When you're sort of less jungle focused, it's a lot harder, I think, in my opinion, to snowball the game unless you are just consistently trying to gank over and over. And you can see Immortals have slowed down quite heavily from that first gank, and T-Tigers is just doing what he can to steal wherever he can at this point. Whoa, big
Starboy's
shot.
caught out though. That's a huge afterburn. He's trying his best to speed away, but he cannot. It's another kill to T-Tigers. They're going to take this Crystal Sentry as well. I think this is something that we criticized Rogue of yesterday in their series against Nova. They had a very melee, team fight orientated composition. They tried to siege turrets over and over again, Scoundrel. Immortals are not doing this. They are looking for fights in the jungle to try and get their leads.
Just exactly the opposite of what I was saying earlier. You know, T-Tigers is now shifted focus to looking to push into the jungle of the Nova lineup, looking to punish where he can by stealing great afterburn.
He's caught out. Can he escape this? He's burning away. Max Green charging forward, looking to do the work. Dienzio trying to get into range as well. They don't have the kill. He is going to escape, it seems. Max Green not going to pursue. Mortal was getting so close to finding a kill into Lone Delphi. Would have been huge for them.
Truth did a really good job, by the way, of just walking to the backs of the Immortals roster to try and obviously get something back from T-Tigers' push onto the Crystal Sentry. Starboy's going to have to be careful here. T-Tigers does have his afterburn, but won't be able to use it because of the Bright Bulwark.
Let's talk about kind of the win conditions real quick, Scoundrel, as Immortals do push in for a siege here. I think this will get upset very quickly. No, never mind. Lone Delphi! He's completely caught out. And yes, that Oblivion finds 2, but it's 2 that just doesn't matter. T-Tigers will get the fountain. Starboy now under the turret. T-Tigers is going to move back in and take this turret down. Starboy is in trouble. Max Green tanking it up, but the turret goes down. It looks like Starboy should be able to walk away from this one alive.
I'm not really sure what... I kind of follow what Truth was doing there. So Truth went to the Crystal Sentry to try and take it. He thought that maybe Lone Delphi and Starboy would be able to defend that turret by themselves. And he didn't then rotate once he realized that potentially that was the wrong decision. He just went and took the backs away. So Truth feels like he's just trying to shovel gold onto himself to get to that late game Glimmer Shot focused Kestrel. They're going to use this opportunity. Really, really good presence by Nova. Good presence of mind and map awareness to say, okay, we have forced Immortals back because they've taken a turret, they took some damage, they're all going to head to base, and they capitalized by taking the gold mine for themselves, keeping the gold within contestable levels at this point, just within a 2k range here, Dalsey. So again, despite some kind of awkward plays by Truth heading into the enemy jungle by himself, they do manage to capitalize and take some things off the map.
Just Immortals, though, moving into the enemy jungle, taking away these Crystal Sentries. That's a second life already removed from the map, and there's nothing Nova can or will do about it. There's no turret either. Immortals could look for a fight here, and Nova perhaps caught in an awkward position. Laid down that active camo. It is spotted up by Immortals, but here we go. Truth just completely destroyed, and Starboy late on everything. The Bright Bulwark and the Fountain just not there. That's going to be another kill going the way of Immortals.
So difficult to play into that, though. T-Tigers with the instantaneous afterburn knocks into the wall, gets the stun to Truth, and this is one of the win conditions for the Immortals roster. They have a very good early game focus burst composition, and they're going to do it.
T-Tigers just... this guy's crazy. He may actually go down here. He's going to turn around and look for the kill into Starboy, and he's going to get it as well, because why not? Lone Delphi going to chase down Max Green, who does have his ultimate, but really can't be looking to use it, I don't think. Maybe he can. Oh, that's a lot of damage, never mind. Lone Delphi just completely chased to his death there. So tunneled on trying to get a kill for his team.
Yeah, and Truth now probably not going to be able to siege this by himself. Lone Delphi very desperate to try and chase Max Green down with that Frostburn. Looking for Truth to back him up, but Truth was trying to push the wave. They had two end goals in mind there. I definitely felt like Lone Delphi was purely searching for the kill, whereas Truth felt that he was more looking to push that wave up to get siege power on this first turret of the Immortals roster. But it's still a close game, nonetheless. I mean, it's obviously been kind of weighted in Immortals' favor, but Truth has got a lot of farm right now, 100 farm. He's got the tension bow pickup. He's going to be working towards that crit. I do like that Nova have made the correct decision, the one that Rogue failed to make yesterday, and realizing that armor is a pretty big deal in this game. And already seeing coat of plates for Lone Delphi and Truth picking up his own light armor.
Yeah, of course. There's literally no crystal power damage coming out of the Immortal squad. Unless Max Green decides to invest some money into some CP items, it's very unlikely that there will be any of that crystal damage coming through, and it's very important against a double weapon power that you get armor stacked up as quickly as possible. The tension bows are already there. 2.6 here, Scoundrel, with that 12% armor pierce, does a lot of damage, and Immortals, they're looking to just take away this last Crystal Sentry life. Once more, Nova going to allow it to go. Elimination before 10 minutes. This is great pacing from Immortals, and Nova can't really look for team fight. Lone Delphi wants to scale up. He needs to get this Samuel online. So does Truth as well. They've got excellent late game, but I fear they may not get there.
I actually think vision is really important to Nova here, Dalsy, specifically because if you have vision of the Immortals roster, Samuel does so much to prevent these awkward situations happening. Now, when I say awkward situations, I mean those scenarios where Immortals have found those afterburns. They're going to start at the gold mine here. They should be able to get this uncontested. So vision is very important because Lone Delphi can control so much of the fight. Oh, it gets stolen! It gets stolen!
Truth! This guy on Kestrel finds the one shot. That is a huge mistake from Immortals, who were just body blocking the same area and did not look for the angles. That's incredible. That keeps Nova at an arm's reach to instead of being, you know, miles away from their opponents.
I think they just didn't anticipate a weapon power Kestrel being able to just snipe it, especially as they knew they had no vision control of the area, or at least in terms of scout trap vision control. So it was more of a based on flares and when flares were coming out. But a great snipe by Truth, and Immortals punished for potentially being a bit lackadaisical in their play there, Dalsy.
Yes, certainly, and that's something that Immortals cannot afford to do. Their composition is very strong when it can go full steam ahead, and with no Crystal Sentry, they can certainly look to punish the jungle and keep Lone Delphi down in gold, down in experience as well. But they have to keep their wits about them. I think the thing that's impressed me about Immortals as a roster Scoundrel is their journey through the Challengers series and how they just, you know, took a team that this is a team that does well at Scoundrel. This is a team that has accolades to it, but just struggled recently at recent events. Became the first team actually for a European squad to defeat in history of Vainglory. Pretty incredible for Europe, obviously. And they go down into the Challenger Series, they reform, and they just look so strong right now. Really just pulling out all the stops. They are looking to siege up this turret, and look at T-Tigers just off to the side, looking for the perfect afterburn.
The win conditions for Nova are still going to rely on, I think when the Broken Myth comes out for Lone Delphi, you maintain vision of the Immortals roster, you build those Broken Myth stacks from afar, and remember, the Immortals can't really play the range game versus Nova, but Nova will play that game all day. Bright Bulwark is a big thing as well, stopping T-Tigers finding those afterburnns, and what a great anti-siege that Bright Bulwark can be, an anti-tower dive tool for Nova as well. You can see now we're getting late into the game, Immortals are finding it harder and harder to seek the same opportunities that they found in the early game, simply because the levels are there. The Bright Bulwark cooldown is down. Lone Delphi with the Frostburn controls so much of the pace of these team fights. You can see the difference it's making.
Yeah, certainly Starboy can just lay it down every minion wave, and then the Truth and Lone Delphi can look to clean up the wave. It is T-Tigers going in. He blocks up the active camo. Oblivion is going to get Crucible. Dienzio almost with a kill, but he's just going to go down. He was caught out on the front line, and now Lone Delphi charging forward. Truth, one shot, double kill. Lone Delphi looking for the ace. Nova going to continue chasing forward, and there should be cleanup for Lone Delphi. There's no way he doesn't get this kill. An ace comes through, and Nova's patience rewarded.
What up, Truth on his Kestrel. Unbelievable prowess on this hero. And again, everything we just talked about came to light. The control, the Bright Bulwark preventing those awkward tower dives. T-Tigers has been thriving on catching Nova off guard in the early game through lack of vision and picking out carries when they were out of position. Nova has not been making those mistakes. They've been preventing the obvious attempts to tower dive with that Bright Bulwark. The control of these fights is completely paced by Lone Delphi, and now the armor has come out for him. He's also not getting blown up. A metal jacket pickup by Starboy. No longer is he a target for this double weapon power composition either, and it doesn't look like T-Tigers is moving anywhere further into armor shred either. He's having to go down the defensive route now. I feel like it's all on Dienzio's shoulders. The rest of this game is now going to be Dienzio stacking breaking point and seeing if he can run with these fights.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if we see cooldown reduction for the Starboy in the next rotation. Another engage coming out of T-Tigers. Oh, Truth, he's caught out. He's going to go down. Dienzio finds the kill. Good Oblivion going to put T-Tigers asleep. But Dienzio's just going forward. 2 kills for him, and that will be his job done. Fountain to keep himself alive, and the turret now going to be taken by Immortals. They just found the entry point that they needed, and Lone Delphi has to be a little bit careful. Has the Malice and Verdict, has a lot of damage, but has to respect T-Tigers.
Oh man, they managed to pick out Truth. I think they were so focused on Starboy being the primary target because he looked like he was taking the damage that T-Tigers switched and immediately juked for the push onto Truth, and that isolated him. The flare came out, meaning that he couldn't sneak away in that active camo, and like we said, Dienzio stacks that breaking point and runs them down. Truth has gone for a massive, 4-item Kestrel build. It's a very common 4-item Kestrel build with the Tornado Trigger and the Tyrant's Monocle, but it does mean now that he has sacrificed armor. If I were Truth, I would maybe be more worried about actually just having armor as opposed to this straight-up reflex block. I don't know. The reflex block is obviously important, but if you get hit by an afterburn, you're just dead. And even if you block it, I feel like you're just dead because of the T-Tiger's damage. But I mean, that's just me. That's just me.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from here. Scoundrel need to just be able to survive. T-Tigers is going to go in, but he's not quite able to get kill. Nova pushing fourth here. I was going to say, I wouldn't be surprised if Starboy stacks a bit of cooldown reduction so he can get that Bright Bulwark down up as quickly as possible. It feels like it's the win condition, stopping T-Tigers from getting to the backline.
It might also just be the burst healing that he's looking for when he goes for this Dragonheart and goes towards the War Treads. That mobility is going to be pretty key, I feel, to the Nova lineup. Lone Delphi's been very, very good on this Samuel as well. Remember, we kind of haven't talked about it, but Lone Delphi got his Samuel and Truth got his Kestrel. Those are two big hero picks of this particular roster. Almost like, they're sort of favorite. If Starboy was on Catherine here, it would have been like the rounded roster of Nova and all of their individual favorite heroes. An aggressive position for Nova. This could be potentially caught out.
Well, Bright Bulwark goes down, that's good for Nova, but now they have to regroup. It is going to be Immortals chasing on in. Starboy, the target, knocked back, taken down. Kill goes over to Dienzio, the first, and he's up on 10 of those stacks. Another comes through. He's just going fourth. Lone Delphi needs to escape here, Scoundrel. The Kraken is ready to be taken, and he is going to be chased on down. T-Tiger is going to look to just lay down the damage. Lone Delphi with a drifting dark Malice and Verdict. It's just not enough, is it? Ooh, almost finds the sniper. That will be him going down. No, never mind.
Baby.
The root! It keeps him alive. Lone Delphi still chasing, gets the hill. 5 seconds and Starboy's alive. If he can snipe T-Tigers here, he gets the kill. And T-Tigers goes and gets the position to allow Dienzio to find the kill. Perhaps a mistake. I don't think they can get Kraken for it. Lone Delphi bought so much time.
Yeah, that's the major thing there, Dalsy. Lone Delphi bought enough time to prevent Kraken going down. So it's a silver lining for Nova here, but a silver lining that holds so much weight, because I feel if Nova actually play these fights correctly, that shouldn't happen. The reason Nova lost that fight, if you can think all the way back to that fight, as Starboy overextends just a little bit here.
Yeah, this is trouble. And Truth with a backwards one-shot. What are you doing, my man? He is going to go very low. Dienzio easily able to clean that up. That was a huge mistake. Truth, either the man to carry or the man whose back is broken after yesterday's games. Dienzio, a double. Lone Delphi, he cannot clean up this mess that Nova have created, and Immortals are going to punish.
What was that one-shot, one-kill? That absolutely was not what you wanted to happen if you're a Gangstars fan, especially if you're a Nova fan as well. It made him such a prime target. Lone Delphi.
He is just out in a position where he does not want to be. He does survive. Immortals get the choke point turret though, Scoundrel. Free as pie. They are going to backport, get some health and energy back, and now it feels like it's the fight for the Kraken with Immortals up by 4,000.
Interesting that they didn't just straight up take Kraken there though, Dalsy, given that you probably were going to get the choke point turret off the back of the Kraken anyway. Maybe they just feel that the Kraken's going to be their winning push, so taking the choke point turret out means they can probably get Kraken and win the game straight away. Nova need to make sure that they aren't putting themselves in these awkward positions before team fights break out though. They split themselves up last team fight. Truth got isolated, wasn't there to deal the damage. He is the main damage dealer at this point in the game, and obviously Starboy and Lone Delphi then were easily 2v3'd with Truth not even being in the fight, so they can't afford to make those kind of errors when it comes to positioning before team fights right now. They need to be maintaining vision control, keeping the space open between them and the Immortals roster, really utilizing that massive range advantage that they have with the Samuel and the Drifting Dark and Malice and Verdict. That is their win condition right now. If they get locked in, down and dirty against this Immortals roster, they straight up lose.
All right, well, let's see how this plays out then, as it looks like Immortals are looking to push down the lane and find themselves another team fight. The one shot used into the brush to try and spot out T-Tigers, but
Well, at least he can't fire it backwards now.
Moving on. The one-time mistake, Scoundrel. You don't make that mistake very often. It can cost you games, don't get me wrong, but it's not worth, I think, waiting on too heavily.
I was merely poking a bit of fun.
I know.
I was merely poking a bit of fun.
We're from EU. We're all just one big meme right now. Immortals. They are wanting to force this Kraken Scoundrel, but Nova aren't biting, and it's this vision that they've got that's allowing them to survive at the moment, though it's starting to be cleared out. Starboy, is he caught out here? Will they go for the kill? No, they won't. It is just going to be Nova resetting.
Infusions refreshed. Obviously, at this stage in the game, you need to have infusions up pretty much all the time to be able to match your opponents in terms of firepower. Starboy over aggressive here. This is not where you want to be as the Nova roster.
Goes down. That's early. Now they can engage on in. It's a great reflex block. T-Tiger's denied the afterburn, and now he's running away straight into the shot. Oh, one shot doesn't take the kill. He lives on a barely minimum amount of health. The fountain to heal him back up.
Starboy's got portal. He could have portaled straight away.
Wow, Nova perhaps missing an opportunity. The famous Starboy making perhaps a mistake. Nova not able to find a kill onto T-Tigers, and that could have been the key Scoundrel to finding the Kraken. They are going to go for it nonetheless. Dienzio and Max Green are here. They have full vision of this. And Nova respectfully going to back away.
Max Green now also with the metal jacket. You can see lots of defense picked up. T-Tigers has gone for the Atlas Pauldron, specifically because this is a tornado trigger variant of the Kestrel, so there is a lot of basic attack focus in there too. Wave pushing, I think pushing into Nova right now. They may have to go address that as they only have those two vein crystal turrets remaining. And we have a Mexican standoff here around the Kraken. Neither team willing to commit, but neither team willing to take that first shot either.
All right, so Nova are going to go and push their lane back here. As soon as Truth is spotted, Immortal's going to push forward. Nova not going to get caught out. That is so risky, Scoundrel, when you're trying to just be the human scout trap at this point. T-Tigers, I think he wanted to go for the afterburn. Someone said no last second, so he quickly avoided going over that wall. Nova one-shotting into Dienzio. That's a big chunk of damage. Can they push forward is the question. It feels like Nova don't really want to play uber aggressive when those one-shots hit.
It's a double Crucible, by the way. Truth has picked up a Crucible here, so a Crucible for the Silence and a Crucible for the Adagio ultimate, you feel. But also, you know, you can always catch your teammate if they get isolated by an afterburn. You can all out with the double Crucible here as well. Starboy now picking up that chronograph for the cooldown reduction, and it looks like the first move will be made by Nova here. Lone Delphi creating the space for his team, but this is still going to be a disengage, you feel, from Nova, Dalsy.
Yeah, they're just trying to bait Immortals towards them. Another one-shot is going to be avoided. Good dodging by Immortals to separate for that. T-Tigers doesn't actually have much damage anymore, Scoundrel. Just the Sorrowblade and Tension Bow at the 22-minute marks. It doesn't output as much damage as you may think, and that could be a problem for Immortals if they don't catch someone out immediately.
It's all on Dienzio. I feel like Bonesaw would have been...
He's so far forward!
What's going on here?
Not good! Can Nova turn this fight for their favor? Is Immortal going to turn this around? Dienzio's still alive! Dienzio's still alive! That's going to be the Oblivion avoided, and in a fight disengaged. Immortals, they are feeling the pressure right now, Scoundrel, not wanting to make a mistake and risk Unified Western Live Championship possibilities.
There's one item here, one item, that is making this Immortals roster really feel powerful in these elongated fights. That is that breaking point. Dienzio, this is the standard build for Vox, but Dienzio is just one of the best at making the maximum use out of positioning and stacking and finding ways to be both aggressive and defensive at the same time. I see many laners, you know, perform, but I always see Dienzio, especially on this Vox, play an incredible game with his ability to kite back and forth and dive when necessary too. His decision-making is just excellent. And he's the one person that gives the longevity needed in these Immortal fights in the late game to stand on its legs versus Nova.
If that's going to ever be turned around, because Dienzio, you would have thought, was dead. All right, but Immortal was able to keep him alive. Starboy lays down that Bright Bulwark, now just going to walk away, it seems. Here's T-Tigers knocking Starboy back. Not the prime target. Can Nova find another kill off this? No, Truth is caught. He's just dead, you'd think. He's burning away, but somehow survives for now.
Oh,
there it is.
dead.
The auto attacks find it. Dienzio with the kill. 8-1-5, looking for a second. But the healing coming out of this Lyra going to mean she doesn't fall. Empowered Malice and Verdicts. Not going to have the energy for many, though. Lone Delphi forced back here. Immortals, what do you do at this point? You're so low on energy, so low on health as well. Can you even afford to take a Kraken? They're going to try it.
If you're Nova, you cannot get close to the Immortals roster like you are. You cannot allow Dienzio 3 stacks at the start of the fight. Starboy just gave Dienzio a massive in that fight as Lone Delphi now moves down towards this Kraken. This could be a 2 versus 3. That range advantage might start getting used here.
Lone Delphi needs to stack up this broken myth. He needs to make a big play. He's got Oblivion available. Will he throw it out is the question. That's going to be the zoning versus the
Oh, he's stolen! He got stolen!
It's Starboy stealing the kill! I'm in love with Starboy right now, and so are Nova. How do you get away with that?
Starboy giveth, and Starbuff take it away. He's been a monster this game to both his team, but also to the Immortals roster, and now overextending slightly. It looks like Immortals want to punish them. They should be able to get away and disengage, though. The boots are coming out.
Truth is getting into the fight. Nova do disengage. So much BM coming out of Nova. Thanks and push to win. Immortals are baiting in a bush. Starboy's going to face check it, but he is so tanky at this point. And he says, bruh, I just stole your Kraken. What you going to do about it? T-Tigers, he's going to dive onto Truth. Silence and pushed away. Gets the fountain. Oblivion comes out. It puts the asleep. That is huge. Can they turn it around? Nova, no, Truth goes down, but so does Dienzio. The Kraken's taking one turret. Lone Delphi trying to make the plays for his team, and it's going to be Max Green just body blocking up this Malice and Verdict. But is he just going to body block to death is the question. Max Green taking it all. 9 broken myth stacks. Good night, Max Green. And it's going to be him falling. T-Tigers can't block it. The turret's going to go down here, Scoundrel. 36 seconds on Dienzio. Nova may just look for the win.
I don't know if they've got enough time. This is going to be so risky. It's at least, you feel, going to be one Vein Crystal turret. But T-Tiger's weapon power build should be able to push through this fairly easily. He's going to focus that Kraken as you should, trying to body block as much as he can on these turrets. It will be one turret and a disengage. Tries to punish Starboy, but he'll just portal over the wall. T-Tigers, let's notably look at his next item. It is a Blazing Salvo. Now, it's likely going to be a Bonesaw here, Dalsy.
Yep.
And I think that's absolutely necessary.
Well, Poison Ship is possible, though, as well. Like, you've got the Tension Bows, you've got Poison Ship on Dienzio, so that's where I think the Bonesaw's good, especially because the armor shred it offers Scoundrel applies for your teammates as well.
Exactly.
Sometimes you would even see Bonesaw built on captains for that very reason.
Yeah, you used to see Bonesaw built on Arden for that reason back in the day. It applies, it shreds the target's flat armor so that everybody that's attacking them gets that reduction in armor bonus, and that's where that's going to be sort of, I guess, facilitating Dienzio. T-Tiger's a little bit caught out potentially, but isn't going to overextend.
Gonna get away with it. Holy moly. This game is so exciting, and it's only game 1 of our North American Vainglory8 Day 2 here at Scoundrel. We got another couple in this series alone. Then we got TSM versus Cloud9, and then we got the final to conclude the Vainglory8 summer regular season. And 2.6 is a patch alone. Nova currently just waiting in a bush. Immortals, they must be feeling the heat right now.
Loads of item spikes hit as well. You've got the Eve of Harvest with the metal jacket. There's huge amounts of armor for everybody except for Truth, who doesn't, he's relying on his positioning to survive in these fights. That's the in for the Immortals roster. Find the weak point, the Achilles heel, and then find the shot on it. Truth is the Achilles heel for Nova. He will get blown up because he doesn't have the armor. They're going to start up Kraken. Do Immortals have the gusto to face check this? It looks like they're going to have to.
Yeah, certainly are. Dienzio starting to actually stack up onto Lone Delphi as well. Lots of damage coming out of Truth. Dienzio down to half HP. Can they get into this? Looks like Nova want to take the fight here. Very confident all of a sudden. Nova get in is the question, though. Lone Delphi starting to throw sound Malice and Verdicts out. Has that Drifting Dark available. The Oblivion's there as well. The one-shot's going to connect. No, it won't. And now Dienzio looking to move forward. There's the empowered Malice and Verdicts. There's Truth getting away from T-Tigers. He is so safe at the moment.
Oh,
And
there's the
that's
Oblivion.
It gets blocked, but here comes Starboy onto all three with a bright bulwark. The Judgment will get blocked. In fact, it doesn't hit. They escape.
Oh, and he gets
Nova
stolen
don't
the
find a
healing
kill,
camp.
and he steals the camp. This is just Nova schooling Immortals right now and telling them if you're going to go to LA, then you're going to have to come through us.
And they should be able to get Kraken for free here. Truth will absolutely shred through this. It's going to be a miracle steal for Max Green, who I don't even think he's going to try and commit to it. They are going to have to defend a Kraken push right now with only one Vein Crystal turret remaining. Maybe Dienzio makes it in time. No way, no way. A Kraken unleashed for Nova. There is that bone saw there for T-Tigers that was there in the last fight, but they didn't find an opportunity to seek an elongated team fight to start stacking it up. It's going to be a frantic dash to take this down for Immortals. You can see they're already in position to start dealing damage to it.
Imagine how you feel right now if you're Immortals. Not able to find it. Dienzio's going for the fight. He's stacking up here. But the bright ball are going to disengage immediately for T-Tigers Starboy. Lots of damage onto him. It's 9, 10 breaking point stacks. T-Tigers goes in. Truth is escaping, but Lone Delphi in trouble. They're going on to Truth. Truth goes down. Lone Delphi puts Dienzio to sleep, and now Dienzio is woken, and he's going to go in and look for some more. Starboy low, but here comes T-Tigers, and Lone Delphi, he gets punted at Dienzio. That is Lone Delphi dead. There's a Kraken pushing their base. They have to backport to deal with it. Starboy can't stop any of those backports either. The Kraken will be stopped, Scoundrel, but at the cost of a Vein Crystal turret, an exposed Vein Crystal.
Every time the Immortals roster finds a fight that they win, it's because Dienzio starts it. He just walks up to Starboy, starts basic attacking him and say, so what, bruh? Like, it's so difficult as well because as the Nova roster, you don't want to commit to that kind of fight. You want to find the perfect position. You want to create space. You want to essentially try and win the fight before the fight has even begun, trying to use that range advantage to generate those broken myth stacks for Lone Delphi. They need to find a way to punish Dienzio when he makes those kind of moves, and that's going to have to be Truth, landing glimmer shots onto him, Lone Delphi forcing him back with the Frostburn, but Dienzio just finds these openings to start stacking before things have even begun. And it's causing them to just completely run away with these fights, because Dienzio just runs down the Nova roster by himself, almost. It's unbelievable.
Double war treads for the teams of Immortal. Dienzio has his own pair, so he can start the fight when he wants to, and Max Green has one as well, Scoundrel. It just allows for the roster to get in there as quickly as possible and allows for Dienzio to be that carry from the front line, it seems, as well. Immortals are setting up with T-Tigers on that ward. Such a powerful position for the Glaive to play in Nova. They know it, so they don't even fight in that tight corridor. The one shot won't find a shot. T-Tigers, though, he is currently out of vision, and Nova are pushing up here. Oh my goodness, they're going to allow T-Tigers to put Truth out. Truth pops his war treads. He's trying to escape Dienzio. Dienzio gets slowed by the Frostburn. Lone Delphi trying to do work, but they have the damage. Dienzio gets the fountain. He's going to be okay. Nova showing that they have force to reckon with, and now it's Immortals on the back foot here. They have to be careful not to overextend. Immortals may look to turn, but here comes Starboy. Goes on in. Max Green gets pulled away from Dienzio. That is huge. No captain to keep Dienzio alive, and it is going to be Nova continuing to chase forward. They are going for the base, and Starboy's going to stop the backports. Oh my goodness, this is devastating for Immortals. Starboy just keeping Dienzio here. It will be T-Tigers and Max Green back into the base. Can they do enough to defend it is the question. Starboy staying alive. Truth escapes T-Tigers. Lone Delphi's on the Vein Crystal. Truth walks straight into T-Tigers and he dies. Oh my goodness. Can Lone Delphi do this? He's doing his best, but he doesn't have energy. He was only a couple of auto attacks from death. Nova lose Lone Delphi. Starboy. This is game possibly. Dienzio is trying to find the ace. If they get the ace, it's game for sure, but he can't get in range. It might just be a Kraken instead.
That was a one game for Nova if they just continue to force the team fight. They have a Frostburn Samuel. Run them down. You had the fountain, you had the crucible, you had every item advantage you could physically hope to find in a 3v3, and you decide to mean it. You just decide to send two of your carries down lane with just Starboy. It's not like it's a Koshka, not like you can pull a Flash X so you can single-handedly stop the entire backport of a team with a Koshka. You have a Lyra who's really only got that single target focus without the bright bulwark to deal the damage to stop them. Poorly executed from Nova, and the Kraken goes over to Immortals. I cannot believe It was an open goal, and they somehow kicked it over their head into their own goal.
Soccer references on point. This weekend scoundrel. Currently, it is the Game of Throws here. Immortals, a lease of life in this series. They still need to close it out. The gift given by Starboy, take it away by Starboy at the same time.
It's literally Starboy giveth and Starboy taketh away. And that has been his performance in this series. Some godly plays and some maybe less so.
All right, Nova, how do they stop this from being a end that they will just, you know, cry about almost at this point? It's going to be the first Vayne Crystal turret going down. T-Tigers split. These Vayne Crystal turrets are melting. T-Tigers is low, but they can't find the kills. The Kraken's still helping. Okay, no, that is T-Tigers going down. That's the Ezra going down. It's Truth with a double. It's Truth looking for a triple, but the Vayne Crystal's too low.
No.
The triple means nothing when the Kraken swipes away your hopes and dreams, and Immortals take game one.
I cannot believe what I've just seen this game. And I'm sure Gangstars fans everywhere will be holding their head in their hands. Holding their head in their hands and crying, why, Nova, why? Because that was a sealed, done and dusted game. Put in a spade and thrown out the window, and Immortals will gladly claim the remainder. They take the first game of this series. They are one game away from sealing their place in the Unified Western Life Championships. What a way to kick off this week.
Incredible stuff here at Scoundrel, and it's only going to get better. Ooh, we need a breather, and so do these players, so let's throw it back to our desk, who are eagerly waiting with their analysis.
That's a tall order, Dowsy, for it to get better than this at that stage. That was an insane way to start off the semi-finals. Immortals take it in the end, but only just. I mean, how many times this season have we seen a Vayne Crystal get knocked down to a sliver of HP, and then the other team ace it and turn things around? I mean, where do you want to begin with this on Bacon? Because there's a lot to talk about.
I mean, I think we have to start with the fact that Immortals should have won this game about 20 minutes ago. Like, this was a game that Immortals had a huge lead. They had everything going their favor, and they just didn't close it out. They never put the pressure onto the lane in order to be able to try and keep Nova from being able to farm up, and that was a massive downfall of theirs. You see, in this early game, they find the first couple of kills. They had, like, it was 11-3 at one point, I believe, and they were just able to find fights pretty much whenever they wanted, but they never really tried to shove in the lane and keep Nova, you know, confined to that area up in the top of the map.
Yeah, I mean, they get a good job. They got all 3 sentries before the 10-minute mark. That's amazing. They get all 3 turrets by the 15-minute mark or 17:35-minute mark. But the key is they were forcing some of the afterburns. I felt like Tigers, like, towards the mid to late game, they started throwing, like literally throwing, like bad afterburns, punting them away, not flaring Castro. They just played their composition perfectly. Adagio was stronger early. There's a 1 dive on their turret. The afterburns Truth, and the flare comes out, and then they kill him, and they take the second turret, and a lot of great plays, but they started messing up when they literally forced afterburns, and there were not good afterburns.
It was once we started to get towards the late stages of the game, and this feels like it was maybe the pressure getting to these players, because these are players that you don't expect to see mechanical mistakes coming out from.
Yeah, especially T-Tigers, you know, we always, you know, praise how incredibly talented he is and how mechanically skilled he is. But like CJ said, a lot of these afterburns just were very forced. We're not getting targets knocked the way they need to. Like, there, knock Starboy away from the fight, which, you know, you could argue that that's a good thing to do, but he's still going to be able to have an impact. It's not a carry, it's that you're stunning up, and it's a captain that has a massive gap close that you're knocking away from the fight. So he just jumps right back in, gets the fountain off, and the team's able to slowly start turning this around. Even though, you know, this fight may not have gone their way, this is still opportunities that were created for Nova to slowly start inching their way back into it.
Yeah, and the key was a 17:35 mark where, you know, Truth throws with this one-shot mid-fight. Zio, then they didn't get the third turret. 3K goal lead for Immortals, and they have double war trades. They got double war trades at that 17:30, and I feel like they never took advantage of that double war trades. They didn't use it more strategically. Lyra steals a Kraken at 25. Some bad afterburns happen. Nova wins the fight, and then Nova gets so many turrets from that fight. That 25-minute fight was literally where Immortals, like, pretty much made some big mistakes. They need to bait the bulwark, and then they need to engage, but not all on top of each other. They need to engage from different angles. Glaive needs to come at a more clever angle, not on top of each other, because that's what Samuel and Kestrel want you to do, so they can get damage from a specific direction. They're both skill shot heroes. You want to split up. And then on 29-30, the engage that Zio did, yeah, this was just crazy here. I mean, Tigers had the right call, perfectly focused here, because Kestrel does so much damage to the Vayne with the crit build. Tigers did the right thing by focusing Truth first, and then Starboy had no energy. Delphi had no energy, couldn't finish it.
At the same time, this was a big mistake from Starboy, and the casters kind of called it out where, A, you either rush down with all 3 of your members while you still have all your utility open, or Starboy, he saw Glaive and Adagio off to the right and chose to try and take out Zio and prevent Zio from recalling. Instead of stopping what could have been 2 recalls stopped, he only was able to stop 1. And if he lets Zio go back to base, 2 versus 1, I think Nova still wins that and ends up closing out the game. It's easy for us to, of course, sit here and say, oh, he should have done this, he should have gone for that. Instead, hindsight's 20/20, and we get to be sitting here watching instead of in the game playing. But that is still a crucial moment.
When the game has almost reached 40 minutes and there is this much on the line, decisions like that suddenly don't seem so simple in the heat at the moment. We need to start talking about the next game because we're going to be jumping on into the draft shortly. What needs to change for these two teams? Because it felt like Immortals had the better composition, especially towards the early stages of the game. They were running away with things, but then it started to go wrong. Was that a compositional thing, SweetJ, or was that something else?
No, it wasn't decision-making. It's like the last game. Tigers kind of gets nervous. I don't know what. Tigers never gets nervous, so it's weird to see him play like this. Like the Cloud9 game, they literally won the early game, first 15 minutes, and then Cloud9 came back and won. So that's a very weak point of Immortals right now. They need to fix that if they're going to win and try to win the entire weekend.
Well, we'll see how they're going to go about this draft anyway as we jump on into this one. It's going to be Grace and Catherine banned away from this one. I have to say, Catherine has taken the meta by storm. She just came in 1 week and has been basically 100% pick and ban ever since. It's impressive, really.
Yeah, and it's the resurgence of the Echo. A lot of players, picking up this item. It has such a massive impact with a Catherine. Being able to have that double team-wide silence coming through. But even without the Catherine, the Baptiste still a very popular pick. And it's going to be Nova getting their hands on their comfort pick, that Baptiste, the pick that they sort of innovated and brought to the table. And now it's almost guaranteed to be in the captain role. So there's not really going to be too much given away with that pick.
And then I think here to probably pick up Glaive. Glaive Baptiste is pretty strong CC. Especially into a Lyra composition, you want a lot of CC to blow someone up, lock them down so Lyra can't heal them and get them back to life. So I think if anything, Nova may they're going to pick Glaive here. And then now, Immortals, hopefully they predicted this draft is very common now on that B-side draft. It's a meta kind of composition to respond to a Lyra first pick. So now Immortals will probably pick something that's super aggressive that can basically go head-to-head against this composition that wants to CC you. So they need to pick a comp that can engage. So let's see what. I think Samuel would work, and then this Samuel potentially, and maybe Vox might be their pick here. We'll see if this will come out for Immortals here.
Yeah, they've certainly got options available to them, and we'll see whether they fall onto comfort picks or whether they go for something like a Samuel Vox, as you mentioned. The Vox is going to be locked in. The Vox, I think, totally unsurprising. Like, whoever is playing in your carry position, they can probably play Vox at this stage. It's, generally speaking, an incredibly safe pick, but we'll see how they round this one out. What are you thinking, Bacon?
Kestrel last pick probably here?
Oh, most likely Kestrel. It's just a very common pick for Nova. It's their second most played hero. 9 games played coming into this week, right after the Baptiste at 12. So it's
Ooh, Ringo instead.
Actually, they're going to switch it up. Yeah, Ringo. This is only their second time playing Ringo. They were unsuccessful with it their first time running this hero, but we've seen the Ringo start to make a very strong resurgence into the meta, especially against Vox. So, they struggled early game against Immortals. I think this is directly to try and remedy that situation because Ringo will beat Vox in the early game.
All right, we'll see whether he's going to be able to kind of abuse that power spike. How are we feeling about the compositions? How do they have to play this one out, SweetJ?
Well, Lyra is poke. Immortals needs a siege turret, get early turret, and then avoid the CC combo of Baptiste, Ordain, and Glaive Afterburn. If they avoid that and don't play into win conditions, then Immortals can take this game.
All right, we'll see.
And vice versa.
I mean, yeah, it's totally dependent on who can execute, which is often the case when the compositions are of a similar kind of power level like this. But let me just remind you guys at home how important this game is for these two teams. Immortals have to win this game if they want to go to the Unified Live Championship. They've got to win this series and get on into the finals. But Nova, they still have a shot at 3rd seed if they can make it in here. Let us know who you're supporting. Who do you want to climb that ladder right now? Hashtag Vainglory8 on Twitter. But it's time to jump into game 2 of this semi-final. Let's pass it back over to our casters for Immortals up against Nova Esports.
How exciting is this series here at Scoundrel? Immortals 1 win away from locking their place at the Unified Western Live Championships. A 35-minute game that felt so quick and so impactful, so much going on. You just have to wonder how these players get ready for game 2.
It's coming down off what was obviously an incredible high for everybody involved. Not only the players, the viewers, us, the analyst desk. I'm sure everybody felt the same way. Nova now going to move in. It's interesting that Starboy's actually on what's going to be Rome Glaive here. Max Green gets the steal, so that 3-man invade basically comes to naught. Nova do lose a little bit of this early game pressure, and Dienzio's done a really good job of just shoving this lane in. Might be caught between a rock and a hard place now.
Yeah, Truth is, no, never mind. Yeah, Dienzio just going to go down, it seems, perhaps.
Nope,
Joke.
bailed out by Max.
Sight. It's just the sigil coming through. Now Truth actually receiving a rough end of it all because Max Green with this auto attack. Oh my gosh, Max Green! One more auto attack, he's got it! First blood for Max Green! Truth goes down for first blood, and that's what happens at Scoundrel. Massive highs sometimes turn into massive lows.
What on earth? What on earth? Max Green single-handedly saved Dienzio, and through a series of poking, might actually... No, that's fine. He's not. Starboy's not going to replicate the same success. But Max Green getting first blood's a big deal here. Ringo put on the back foot already. He's level 2. Dienzio's got that light armor in inventory too. And Nova with this Ringo wanting to look to put pressure on early with, I guess, this Glaive Ringo combo, looking for a lot of early lane ganks and pressure onto Dienzio specifically. Now we're going to be on the back end of things as Immortals look to push them in lane.
Dienzio's Fox so good at Scoundrel, you cannot afford to get behind him, I don't think. Now, Dienzio didn't get an assist on that first blood, but he's certainly got all the CS in the world. Has a huge CS lead over his opponent right now. Currently sitting a good chunk of 5 CS ahead. And oh my goodness, what are you doing, T-Tigers? Finding kills, never mind. Keep going. It's going to be Starboy now in trouble as the Malice and Verdict's starting to hit as well. He has a Drifting Dark in 6. And there's the Malice and Verdict's. Oh, missing. Starboy might actually be able to just walk away from that. He's going to chuck down a bit of backport BM. Truth looking to punish Dienzio in the lane all by himself as well. Lone Delphi has his entire rotation stolen away from him. Lone Delphi has to be careful that he doesn't have his life stolen away from him either. Currently it is Nova pushing into the enemy jungle, trying to
What
secure
is
as much
Delphi
as possible.
doing?
Delphi is almost dead. This is Kilt. He's dead. What are you doing? You do not have a place. When your enemy pushes into your jungle, your 2v1, you do not have a place. Go to the lane, push it up. Your team is currently taking the jungle. So if you're pushing the lane, you're actually giving your team an advantage.
Oh, goodness me. Delphi was also 2 levels behind T-Tigers and a level behind Max Green. It was just never a fight that he was going to win, as Starboy now tries to just come round to lane to support Lone Delphi, who is really struggling. Both CS, he is also... I mean, T-Tigers has got 3 times the CS, and it's 10 CS advantage for Dienzio. Immortals looking like they are really wanting to solidify their place in the Unified Western Live Championships, and Gangstars will be looking on, just almost desperately willing every fiber of their being for Nova to make a resurgence here, but it's going to be a tough one, as an overextension into the enemy jungle by Lone Delphi might allow him to get caught out.
Goodness.
It's a 2-level advantage.
He's caught. He's dead. There's nothing else to say about it. Good night, Lone Delphi. 0-3-0. Nova are tilted at Scoundrel. There's only one way to put it, and it's tilt. Its mentality has cracked. The counter throws and the throws. Right now, they need to get their head in the game. They need to watch some High School Musical Wildcats if they're going to be able to win this series.
And Immortals are doing exactly what they need to do, just continuously starving Lone Delphi of his own jungle. Every opportunity that they get, they should go and take those camps, invade. Truth now the next target, forced to burn those boots to get away. And if you're a Gangstars fan here, it probably feels pretty bad, but you have to remember that you create your own destiny.
Yeah.
You know, you create your own destiny. If you're Gangstars, you'll probably be sad at the outcome of this game, but also you'll be looking back and thinking, well, we should have been secured anyway. Like, we shouldn't even have to rely on someone else to get us to the Unified Western Live Championships. And that's something that is always worth remembering when it comes to, you know, every aspect of life. All of your destiny is created by yourself. So Immortals are creating their own right now, and it is just a glorified path for them, because if they make it to finals this week, they've gone from a challenger team to a Unified Western Live Championship team in the course of a mere split, which is just absolutely insane from these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Great turnaround for them as well. You know, it was Unified Western Live Championship team into Challenger Series team. I think there was a lot of questions about Immortals and how they would rebound from that. Right now they're showing it here. T-Tigers comfortably taking the harass from Starboy on this Captain Glade. The rest of his team pushing forward. They want Starboy's life. They're not going to be able to get it. He pops the boots, gets away. It is a 2,000 gold lead right now, Scoundrel, for the side of Immortals, and they're looking to siege here, and they have siege potential as well. Starboy's very low, has a fountain, I suppose, so could perhaps look for an afterburn, but may just be his life lost if he messes it up.
The siege is starting up here from T-Tigers on this Samuel as well. It's what Samuel's so good at doing, just putting pressure on turrets with the extended range of his Malice and Verdict during the Drifting Dark. The splash damage that it provides always punishes Nova for hugging their turret as well. And it's just an easy way to put pressure on a team that's already behind us. Truth takes a couple of bolts. Huge damage right now.
Huge damage as well. Nova, they don't have any innate healing, Scoundrel. This is something they're going to struggle with. Truth's going to have to get a poison ship into his kit. You're fearing it's going to be the next item, because Max Green is just providing all the sustain in the world. Nova are an all-in team. That is their win condition. Glaive engages, the Ordain goes down, and they blow up whoever was targeted. Right now, they're playing so scared, and they're just taking harass. Here comes T-Tigers, Malice and Verdict. It's empowered in the Drifting Dark. The minion wave is blocking it, but Lone Delphi is a little bit in trouble. Truth tries to aggress forward. He's going to be able to dodge the Oblivion. T-Tigers, a lot of damage onto him. Oh, it's an overstep! A fountain not used by Max Green. That is a mistake that Immortals cannot be afford to be making.
Yeah,
But never
absolutely.
mind. Max Green.
Yeah, I mean, like, okay, it was a not used fountain. That was potentially a mistake, but Immortals were definitely overstepping their tower diving boundaries, you could say there, Dalsy. As Truth working towards his tension bow here. Lone Delphi's got that Shatterglass. I'm wondering why they went for the Roam Glaive instead of maybe going for Starboy's Roam Batiste, which has been so effective for him throughout this split and the previous ones. He was kind of the one that popularized Echo on Batiste specifically as a captain. And they've gone for Captain Glaive instead, who's not going to get the same effectiveness out of what is a very good item combination right now. And the fact that a range advantage can always punish Lone Delphi. What I guess they are doing is if Dienzio makes those oversteps this time round, you can just slam down the Ordained on him, and he could be kind of isolated and locked in. But Dienzio's already picked up the reflex block, so that's not going to happen really anytime soon.
Let's talk about Lone Delphi's current position in the game. What kind of item build does a Batiste have? An expensive one? Shatterglass, Clockwork, I guess, is fairly cheap, and then it's the Broken Myth. We'll talk about it in a second as Starboy fails a afterburn there. Lone Delphi is able to walk away. Great Fist of Shade disengages, but now Starboy walks back into trouble, and he is dead. That was a mistake coming out of Nova. By punishing Lone Delphi, who's currently sitting on a 19 CS, T-Tigers almost tripling his CS count from the jungle. He will not be hitting any meaningful damage for the longest of time here at Scoundrel, which allows Immortals to just do whatever they want. Where's Truth going? He does this so often. Loves going into the enemy jungle whilst they're, you know, lollygagging around trying to push advantages. Will he actually have the bravery to go for it is the question and look to steal away these backs? It could just be him dying if he does so.
Immortals going to walk now back towards their own jungle. Truth probably just going to back off here, but Immortals just need to continue to put pressure on these neutral objectives to, wow, Truth actually steals that away, and now Nova might be looking for something as Starboy oversteps ever so slightly. We'll have to afterburn away. If I were Immortals, I'd shove lane, I'd go towards Goldmine, or I'd bring Nova towards me, because fights right now are going to go in your favor. Even if Lone Delphi has got that Shatterglass, he's going to be good against double squishies. I just think Immortals are too far ahead right now.
They are so far ahead at Scoundrel. 3,000 gold doesn't seem like much, but it's 3,000 gold that Lone Delphi is missing out on. It's 3,000 gold that Truth just doesn't have in his kit. He's got a tension bow. That means he can't go poison shiv, you'd think. Tell your Tigers, a lot of damage onto him. Max Scream pops the fountain. Oh gosh, it is going to be Starboy dead. Good, fearsome shade, but not good enough to stop the kill. Nova now a man disadvantage. They have to run. Low Delphi throws the bad mojo. Here comes a Hellfire Brew straight onto D'Enzo, but it's blocked on up. Doesn't get out of the Ordained. Oh, wow, that's a huge crit with the empowered bad mojo. 500 damage eats away at D'Enzo. Nova are feeling confident. They think that they have the advantage now. Can they get any meaningful damage onto this turret, or is it just going to have to be a disengage for the team?
Well, they aren't exactly a huge amount behind. 3,000 gold is a pretty significant amount, but not insurmountable for the Nova roster to come back and try and find their way back in here. So Lone Delphi's picked up that 2-item spike right now. He's actually got his Clockwork and Shatterglass. That's a pretty decent item spike for him. He's going to be able to spam those bad mojos against practically no shielding right now for T-Tigers and D'Enzo. So if you can hit an empowered bad mojo onto either D'Enzo or T-Tigers, that's going to deal a significant amount of damage, more so than potentially an empowered Malice or Verdict could to the opposite side of the field. Truth's going down what looks to be a tornado trigger build after this, with his Tension Bow and Sorrow Blade already in tow. If they can isolate one of these targets, one of the carries of Immortals, who maybe are being a little bit overconfident because of their start to the game, they genuinely could try and find somebody. So it's all going to be whether Starboy can find that isolation and whether Truth can then follow up with the burst necessary to punish them.
We'll have to see how this plays out. Sometimes you get so far ahead, can't see what's right in front of you, Scoundrel, and who is creeping up behind. It's a broken myth for T-Tigers now. It's a huge spike for this Samuel as he stack up the damage with his Malice and Verdict at range. The Frostburn also puts Nova in an awkward position as they aren't really wanting to kite away. They're wanting to go in, but if they're forced to kite, then that only helps out the side of Immortals, who have so much to sustain with the Lyra. Contraption finish for Starboy, going to give him the cooldown reduction so that he can find Afterburn after Afterburn. They are looking for a fight here in the jungle. That's going to be a stun coming out of Starboy. The fearsome shade, it is blocked up. Starboy goes down. D'Enzo, look at his sustain. He goes down nonetheless. Never mind. Looked like he was going to survive it. It is a trade back and forth, but a 2-for-1 in favor of Immortals. And now they're going to look to try and see if they can't get some damage onto this turret.
I think it's a risky play for Immortals to get that close to Nova, because if you get close to Nova, you're making it a lot easier for them to land the damage necessary. Starboy didn't quite find the isolation that he was looking for, but Truth taking a lot of damage here from range, can't really respond to it. We're going to be forced back as Starboy makes his way back here. Actually gone for a Contraption, so looking for, I think, primarily the cooldown reduction that Contraption provides for him here. He wants to be able to use that Afterburn as much as possible, but also obviously having some vision is always a good thing, as Starboy is now currently stood around a scout trap by himself, not really moving.
Might just chilling Scoundrel. You know, he
sometimes he needs to take a moment. Yeah, you just need to take a moment.
Take a breather. Yeah. They're all about relaxing. Oh my gosh, Max Green. Looking for his 3-0 record on Truth right now. Has a sigil up in 3 seconds. His team's currently just providing distance, and they're not going to spot Truth backporting. It'd be crazy if Max Green found a 3rd solo kill onto Truth.
Starboy now going up towards the lane to try and find it by himself, which maybe isn't the best idea here, Dowsey.
No, he is just dead. What a strange move by Starboy. None of his team was there. Even if he hit that Afterburn, who are you punting him back to? Truth goes down to Max Green. Lone Delphi finds a kill and throws out the fearsome shade on the dead body of D'Enzo. He'll be able to hold this turret. Has the wave clear in the bad mojos with the Clockwork as well. There's a lot of damage to be had, and look at that. He just clears it out. T-Tigers will steal away this healing camp though. Puts the Drifting Dark down, but the Malice and Verdicts aren't quite connecting. Lone Delphi just standing still. Easiest way to dodge them by standing still. Goes on in, tries to use his Reap passive, but he just gets denied completely. And it's going to be Max Green with his 5th kill of the game as Scoundrel. Highest kill count in the map right now.
It's like Lemmings. But it's like they just walk in one by one and then slowly get picked off. Interestingly enough, Truth is actually pretty far ahead in terms of experience. He's level 12 compared to D'Enzo's level 10. I'm actually unsure how D'Enzo's fallen behind in terms of levels here, but Max Green has got a slight level advantage on Starboy, so maybe there's been a bit more of sharing experience on the Immortals roster, and Truth has been kind of farming by himself.
He stole a number of the jungle camps.
Jungle camps, yeah,
well.
he did invade those jungle camps quite significantly earlier, so that would be probably where most experience.
Doesn't steal the gold mine. Almost finds another highlight-worthy clip. Nova now in the lane is Scoundrel. Truth with this level advantage definitely goes in favor of Nova. You know, the jungler's behind, but their laner is not. He's got that tornado trigger. He is very close to finishing off a monocle as well to complete his full 4 damage items. Nova just haven't quite found the team fights that they want just yet. Here comes Truth. He's coming in. Maxgreen spots him out. He's going to go in for the kill as well. Truth is okay for now, but now he's getting slowed down. That fearsome shade does nothing. Truth caught in the middle of everyone, and he goes down instantly. Starboy will follow very surely, and Max Green sets up for Lone Delphi. This is looking like a destruction on the side of Nova. Delphi should be able to go through that portal and escape nicely. Dienzio going to push the turret by himself. Actually gets ordained up. That's going to be the powered bad mojos. They do a lot, but Lone Delphi just goes to his death once more. The Lemmings off the cliff. Nova, and now Immortals going to look for a Kraken.
Immortals going for the Kraken here, should be uncontested, and in that fight, Truth had the right idea in some respects, but the wrong target. Max Green has got a lot of armor behind him with that Atlas Pauldrons. He's also got a significant amount of health, having that Fountain, War Treads, and Crucible to boot. So if that was Dienzio that he was flanking onto, maybe there would have been a bit more of a potential. Nova may be looking for a steal here. It might be one of their ways back into this game.
Hellfire Brew onto it. Starboy. Okay, it's a weapon power Ringo, and they disengage lovely here. Mortals are not making the same mistake twice, and Truth is going to be taken on down. Never mind, he finds 1 kill before he goes. That is good stuff. Now Starboy in the middle of it all. Lone Delphi coming on in. He's silenced on up, and that's going to be Starboy taken on out. Fearsome Shade pushes Zero right back. Lone Delphi should be able to walk away. The Kraken disengaged, but can Lone Delphi survive? If he's able to survive and the Kraken is fully disengaged, he has to turn and fight, use his passive, but he cannot. That's the kill going over. That's going to be Zero. Ends Max Green looking to take this choke point.
And from a game of the last game in this series where it was just so intense, 35 minutes back and forth, this game really hasn't been anything but Immortals. They have managed to take hold very early on, and whilst there has been some slight resurgences from Nova, Immortals feel like they have been, or I feel like they've been in the driving seat from the get-go here, Dalsy. It's been pretty impressive stuff, and Dienzio, again, every time that he gets his hands on this Vox, is just so consistent with it, and that's something that Dienzio has always been praised for, his consistency to perform. Despite situations potentially going awry, he's always able to pull out a performance that is, even in losses, sometimes admirable. And that is just the Immortals roster right now. They are 1 win away. It feels like they are minutes away from securing that live championship position. And goodness, they will have deserved it if they do.
You know, the thing I love about Dienzio is that he is a player that gets buffed on landing, Scoundrel. And I got to manage to, we might not talk about this just yet. Immortals are looking for another fight here. Nova trying to disengage it. They have that Fearsome Shade. The Oblivion's going to go down. That's the Fearsome Shade knocking people back, but Lone Delphi's in so much trouble. Lone Delphi trying to find the snipe onto Dienzio, but he's not going to be able to. The Fountain comes out. That's going to be Lone Delphi dead. Here comes Max Green showing you how to portal. Starboy is going to be taken on out for that as well. Truth sitting on the healing platform, just trying to get the health back. There's a minion wave incoming as well, but Immortals are going to go for the Kraken, it seems, after they take this Crystal Sentry, who's just come back to work. Scoundrel, Dienzio, a player who gets buffed when he goes to live tournaments. He feeds off that live energy presence, but sometimes criticized, I feel, for not performing online. And, you know, he's a young player, perhaps gets bored when it's these online regular matches, but when Immortals are so close to live finals, look at the performance he's outputting.
There's a lot of talk about Dienzio and why he hasn't performed previously as Truth is going to get spotted out by Scout Champion. He's pretty much dead.
Yeah.
Pretty much dead. And is dead. To continue on that Dienzio point, a lot of people sort of question why Dienzio, he came off the back of performances last year where he looked like one of the best laners in the world and then struggled to perform in the latter half of last year and obviously had some struggles in this early start of this year. A lot of it comes down to motivation with Dienzio. If Dienzio is motivated to play, he plays like a god. And it feels like ever since really becoming part of this Immortals roster, he has been stepping up that practice, stepping up that motivation, looking to secure that place that he once had as almost like the wonder child of North American Vainglory. I think Starting All Over was looking to take that mantle from him, and I think in recent times a lot of people could say that Starting All Over potentially did, but Dienzio definitely back on track to put himself in prime position as one of the best young players in North America.
Yeah, certainly looking to do so, and wouldn't it be crazy if Immortals versus Hammers could be just a matchup we see on day one of the Unified Western Live Championships. Oh, I'm getting excited for LA. I'm getting excited for that event. Immortals are getting excited as well as Nova trying to take down this crack and trying to keep their base alive. Starboy knocks Dienzio out, but he's going to escape this all day. They're looking to re-engage a silence on to Lone Delphi, who takes so much damage. Starboy knocks Dienzio onto the healing platform, and that gets him blown up instantly. Truth moving forward, but he's getting taken down so low. There's no fountain. He is close to death. And Max Green says, I gotcha. Another solo kill for him. It's going to be Lone Delphi taken on down by Teen Tigers. Goodbye. And Immortals have done it. They booked their place to the Unified Western Live Championship. And now Scoundrel into the finals. They can look to increase their seeding.
My goodness, Immortals absolutely deserve every single game that they have won over the course of this weekend, but also the work that they've done over this split, and they rightfully claim a position at the Unified Western Live Championships. What a story for them to come from the Challenger Series all the way up to claiming that spot alongside some of the other great North American teams. It has been insane to watch them do so. And they have just 2-0'd Nova here. What an incredible game. It has been almost a roller coaster from left to right, especially that first game, but this game was nothing of the sort. It felt like plain sailing from the get-go. A couple of hiccups here and there, but realistically, the Immortals were never out of control. Nova put up a valiant effort, you would have to say, especially in the first game, but this game they were really shown who was the boss.
I can't wait to see Immortals on the live stage, and later on today in the finals, Scoundrel, we've got another series coming up and it's a good one. So let's get it back to the desk so that we can prep for Series 2.
Congratulations, Immortals. You have made it to the Unified Live Championship. You've made it to Los Angeles, and I'm sure that you guys could not be happier with that performance as well. What a way to do it as well. That final game, absolutely dominant from the side of Immortals.
Yeah, absolutely incredible play all the way throughout this one. Did not give Nova that opportunity to get back into the game like we saw them do in game number 1. And with that, like I said, they get that spot. They get that final seed for now, because they could still potentially end up all the way in the number 3 seed, depending on how the rest of the day goes. Absolutely incredible for the side of Immortals, and we'll see just how much momentum they can get on their side.
Yeah, and they played the early game so well. They just knew their win condition. They siege turret. They caught people off guard. I mean, Tigers just normally wins 1v1 jungles. And Delphi, some weird rotations early, but this is funny. Tigers way too aggressive here. Double turret shots, no fountain from Max. That was very interesting from them there. Those little things Immortals will need to polish up if they even want to consider having a chance against the likes of TSM and Cloud9. But overall, look at